Hey guys, and welcome back to another one. Now, long story short, this is the Voyo Vbook A1 budget laptop, and in my opinion, of course, this could have been a great budget laptop only if Voyo have taken the attention to some of the details that we are going to check right now on this particular video. That being said, let's go straight for the video. Hope that you guys enjoy it, and as always, I'll see you in a few seconds. And here we are with the Voyo Vbook A1 budget laptop that features the Intel Apollo Lake Celeron quad-core 3450, 4GB of DDR3 RAM, 128 gigs on a M.2 SSD, and 32 gigs of eMMC flash storage on a 11.6-inch IPS panel with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. Now, regarding our unboxing experience, once we open the package, we will find the Voyo Vbook A1 with a really nice looking orange color, some documentation, one stylus, and the power adapter. In terms of build quality, the Voyo is made of a rubberized material on the outside that feels pretty nice to the touch, and it adds some grip. In the interior, it has a cheaper plastic feeling but acceptable, and the only thing to me that feels not so well are the hinges that, although they are tough and will handle some abuse, they feel a bit cheaper. Now, looking closer at the front, it has a 2 megapixel camera. On the left hand side, one USB 2.0 port, headphone jack, SIM slot, a volume rocker, power button, and a lock button. On the right hand side, a power input jack, USB 3.0 port, micro HDMI, and a micro SD card slot. And at the top, the Voyo logo. This is a small laptop, and so is the trackpad, measuring 8 cm by 5 cm. Nonetheless, it is usable, and in terms of single fingers gesture, it's pretty accurate. Left click, right click, all good. The only complaint I have is that it's not so accurate when we scroll with 2 fingers. When we scroll fast, it looks good, but when we need more precision, it's just not there. The keyboard is also small, the keys are really close to another, and it takes some time to get used to it. The travel is okay, but when we press it, it feels too hard, especially compared with premium keyboards. The screen is an 11.6-inch IPS glossy panel with a resolution of 1920 by 1080, and honestly, I really liked it, especially the colors and contrast, as you guys can see on screen, that make the images really pop out. It's a glossy panel, as I said, so we will have a lot of reflection, especially in extreme angles, both vertically and horizontally, which, as usual in dark environments, are less notable. Back to the colors and contrast, if we take a look even at angles that we will never use, the colors hang really well. The only complaint that I have here on the screen is something that I've seen a lot on these budget screens, and is the gap or space between the front glass and the display itself, which we notice it, but when looking straight ahead while working, we don't notice it that much. And the Voyo A1 comes with a stylus that might be useful to some. To me personally, it doesn't, but my feedback is that don't expect a premium experience. It's nice for some simple drawing, but the precision is just not there. And I'm not surprised, this is a budget device, and this stylus experience is at the same level. May be useful to take some notes in a classroom, but that's about it. The Voyo A1 can also be used as a laptop, in tent mode, stand mode, and as a tablet, which disables the keyboard while it is in use. But even if it didn't, it has a lock key button, so all would be great. And turning on the laptop reveals 2 things, actually more, but we will talk about 2 right now. One, that it has a valid Windows activated license, and the other that it comes with a user account created, which honestly guys, I'm not a fan. So my reaction, like on any other machine, was to reset the computer, but unfortunately we can't, as it gives an error message stating that there is no recovery environment. Now, regarding the account, I got by just by creating a new administrator account and then deleting the one that comes pre-installed. But I hope that Voyo provides a downloadable Windows image, because at some point users will want to clean their machines, and at this moment we can't. And storage-wise, the Voyo A1 comes with a 128 gigs M.2 SSD and a 32 gigs eMMC flash storage. And believe it or not, one of the things that I did like the most on this laptop was inside of it. Yep, usually I don't include tear-apart images on my videos, but this one is really cool. So besides of being able to replace the M.2 SSD included, we can also insert a second one up to 512 gigs, giving users a great way to expand the storage needs internally. And the other way would be by inserting a microSD card, but after multiple tries, I just gave up. I tried with a Samsung and a SanDisk that work fine on other machines, but here they just refused. It looks like a driver issue that Voyo has to fix. Windows sees the card but won't read it, and when we try to update the drivers, it won't update because it's using the latest version available. And moving to some benchmarks so that we can compare with other machines that we have seen on the past, we can see that there is some improvement from the previous generation. Great speeds on the SSD peaking at 400 megabytes per second and on the eMMC at 175 megabytes per second. Wi-Fi reaching 170 megabits per second on download and 20 on upload, and stress testing the CPU for over an hour, I see no thermal throttle. It will go up to 2.2 GHz when necessary, and if pushed to the maximum for long periods, it will go to 1.2, 1.3, but never below the 1.1 mark. And in a real-world usage, what is this laptop capable of? So Office apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it will handle just fine. In the past, we have seen weaker machines performing great, and so it's no surprise that this one can. Actually, in my opinion, this is the type of work targeted at this kind of machine. Of course, browsing the internet and you watch YouTube videos at 1080 resolution without any issues. And for those of you that plan to consume some multimedia on this machine, I would say that it will be fine playing movies up to 1080. The CPU and GPU are more than capable of playing anything, but over Wi-Fi, high bitrate files will buffer and give a not so good experience, like the 10-bit 4K dive into the New World sample. So just to prove my theory, I connected a USB to Ethernet adapter and I was right. It played the 10-bit 4K samples just fine without any bufferings, both Iceland and dive into the New World. And in terms of gaming, I was curious to see the performance increase on the Apollo Lake Intel HD 500, and although it is a step forward, we are still not there for the desktop gaming. As expected, I was able to play old titles such as Worms, Crazy Golf and similar, and of course it will play all the mobile games available on the Windows Store. Then, as I do get asked a lot, I did test out Dota 2 and the results are, well, it depends on how much we can sacrifice. If we lower the settings to low with a resolution of 1280 by 720, then we will get between 20 and 30 frames per second, and although it's playable, the experience is not the best. Then moving to another requested title, which is CSGO, the results are worse. All settings to low and a 1280 by 720 resolution, and we can expect an average of 10 frames per second, which is basically unplayable. So in my opinion, guys, this type of machine, to be able to play high demanding games, it has to be through game streaming, which we have covered a lot here on the channel. And on my tests playing Grid Auto Sport with a 1080 resolution at 60 frames per second, this laptop did a great job, as you guys actually can see on screen. Actually, the only poor performance here was from my driving skills. And lastly, I tested one of my favorite features on this type of machine, which is the micro HDMI output to connect to bigger displays. And here, once again, unfortunately, I was disappointed as it didn't work. No matter what I did, no success. And those of you that follow the channel have seen me using this type of setup with other machines, so it's not an adapter or cable issue. It's most probably software or drivers that need to be implemented to fix this feature. And so that you guys can have a better idea of how much time the battery will last, just press that pause button. So in conclusion guys, things that I did like the most were the design and build quality of the Voyo Vbook A1, which has a really nice color and a great grip, the M.2 Expandable Storage up to 512 gigs, capable of game streaming at 1080 with 60 frames per second, and finally the display colors and contrast. On the other hand, things that I did like the least were that I could not get the HDMI output to work, it can't do a clean Windows installation, the SD card is not recognized, and finally the gap between the display and the front panel glass. And that is it, we have reached the end of another one, this time the Voyo Vbook A1 budget laptop. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did so, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto George, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.